Look, I need to tell you something about humans, and you are not going to believe a single word until I show you the scars. My name is Krell, and I am what your species would probably call, well, terrifying. I stand 9 feet tall when I am not crouching. My exoskeleton can deflect plasma rounds. I have 6 eyes that can see in 17 different spectrums. I have hunted across 43 worlds. I have taken down prey that would make your nightmares seem like pleasant daydreams, and then I met Marcus Webb, but I am getting ahead of myself. Let me start at the beginning, back when I still had my pride intact and all my limbs pointed in the directions they were supposed to point. The job came through the usual channels. Some mining corporation had set up operations on a backwater planet called Earth, third rock from an unremarkable yellow star, and they needed security. Specifically, they needed someone to handle what they called problem wildlife. The pay was exceptional. The target was listed as non-sentient. Easy money, I thought. How wrong I was. How spectacularly, painfully, humiliatingly wrong. Arrived on Earth during what the locals call autumn. The air smelled strange, full of dying vegetation and something else I could not quite identify. Hope. Stupidity? I did not know then. The mining operation was situated in a region called the Canadian Rockies, all mountains and forests and far too many places for things to hide. The site manager, a nervous little human named Patterson, met me at the landing pad. He was sweating despite the cold air, his small eyes darting around like a prey animal that knows the predator is close. Thank the stars you are here, he said, his voice cracking. We have lost 3 people in the last 2 weeks. Something out there is taking them. We find pieces. Just pieces. I did not tell him that I was the something that usually did the taking. Professional courtesy and all that. Show me the territory, I said. What Patterson showed me was a mess. Claw marks on trees that went up at least 20 feet. Tracks that did not match anything in the local database. Blood patterns that suggested the victims had been dragged upward, not along the ground. Classic ambush predator behavior. I felt a familiar thrill run through my spinal column. This was going to be fun. I set out at dusk, when most apex predators start their hunting cycles. My thermal scanners were active. My kinetic shields were charged. My plasma rifle was loaded with enough firepower to drop a small spacecraft. I was ready for anything, except for what I got. The attack came from above, which I expected. What I did not expect was the sheer mass of the thing. It hit me like a meteor, all fur and muscle and teeth the size of my primary manipulation appendage. We went down hard, rolling through the undergrowth, and I got my first good look at it. A bear. The humans call them bears. This particular specimen was what they call a grizzly, and it was having a very bad day. Someone had wounded it, badly, and now it was angry and desperate and apparently had decided that I looked like a convenient target for its frustration. Managed to throw it off, but not before it tore through my left arm shielding. Pain receptors screamed. I brought my rifle up, ready to end this, when I heard something that made my blood run cold. Laughter, human laughter, from the trees above. A figure dropped down between me and the bear. He was small, barely 6 feet tall, wearing what looked like improvised armor made from local materials and duct tape. Actual duct tape. His face was covered in mud and what I hoped was paint. In his hands, he carried a knife that looked like it had been sharpened approximately 10,000 times too many. Easy there, big guy, he said, and I realized he was talking to me, not the bear. That is Patches. She is having a bad day. Patches? I managed to say. You named the murder bear Patches? She has a patch of white fur on her back leg, he explained, as if this was the most reasonable thing in the universe. Now, you can either shoot her, in which case I will be very upset with you, or you can lower your weapon and let me handle this. The bear, Patches, was circling us both, growling low in her throat. Her eyes were wild with pain and fear. I could see the wound now, a deep gash along her side, infected and seeping. That thing tried to kill me, I said. You are in her territory, the human replied. What did you expect, a welcome party? Now put the gun down before somebody gets hurt. Somebody already got hurt. Me? Oh, that? That is barely a scratch. I have gotten worse from aggressive houseplants. I stared at him. He stared back. The bear stared at both of us, probably wondering why her dinner was having a conversation. Against every instinct I possessed, every bit of training I had received, every ounce of common sense I thought I had, I lowered my weapon. The human smiled. Good choice. Now watch and learn. What happened next defied everything I knew about predator and prey relationships. The human, Marcus Webb as I would later learn, turned his back on me, a heavily armed alien hunter, and walked toward the bear. The bear, seeing this, charged. I raised my rifle again, certain I was about to watch a tiny human become bear food, but Marcus did something that still makes me question the laws of physics. He sidestepped at the last possible second, grabbed the bear by the fur, and used its own momentum to flip it. A 900-pound apex predator, and this human just flipped it. Patches hit the ground hard, dazed, and before she could recover, Marcus was on her. Not attacking. Not running. He was checking her wound, his hands moving with practiced efficiency, making soft noises that I can only describe as soothing. There we go, girl, he murmured. I see it now. You have got some kind of metal fragment in there. From the mining equipment, probably. Let me just. He pulled out his knife, and I tensed, but he only used it to carefully extract a jagged piece of metal from the wound. There. That has got to feel better. The bear, and I swear I am not making this up, relaxed. She actually relaxed. This human had just tackled her, performed impromptu surgery, and now she was looking at him like he was her favorite thing in the world. Marcus pulled out a small medical kit from his pack and began treating the wound properly. You are lucky I come prepared, he told the bear. This is going to sting, but you will thank me later. I just stood there, rifle lowered, watching this impossible scene unfold. My hunter brain could not process what was happening. This was not how nature worked. This was not how anything worked. After 10 minutes of the most surreal medical procedure I have ever witnessed, Marcus stepped back. Patches stood, shook herself, gave Marcus what I can only describe as an affectionate nudge that would have shattered a normal being's ribcage, and then lumbered off into the forest. Marcus watched her go, then turned to me. So, you are the exterminator they called in? I am a hunter, I corrected stiffly. Right. Hunter. Exterminator. Glorified pest control. Potato, tomato. He looked me up and down, and I felt distinctly evaluated. You know what your problem is? I have several at the moment. Your problem, he continued as if I had not spoken, is that you think size and weapons make you dangerous. Let me tell you something about Earth, about humans specifically. We are not the biggest. We are not the strongest. We are not the fastest or the most venomous or the best camouflaged. Then what are you? I asked, genuinely curious now despite my wounded pride and my wounded arm. His smile was not kind. It was the smile of something that had survived when it should not have, had won when it should have lost, had looked at the universe's attempt to kill it and said no thanks, I think I will stick around. We are persistent, Marcus said. We are adaptable. We are creative. And most importantly, we are absolutely, completely, 100% insane. We looked at wolves, actual wolves, and said hey, let us make those into pets. We looked at the deadliest creatures on our planet and said let us put them in zoos. We looked at space, the cold empty void that wants to kill us, and said that looks fun, let us go there. He stepped closer, and I found myself stepping back, which had never happened before in my entire hunting career. You want to know why Patches did not eat me? It is not because I am stronger. It is because somewhere in her bare brain, she knows that humans are weird, unpredictable, and if you mess with us, we will either befriend you or burn down your entire forest out of spite, and she cannot tell which one we will pick. That is. I searched for the right word. Terrifying. Yeah, Marcus agreed cheerfully. It really is. Now, about that mining operation. I assume they hired you to clear out the local wildlife? That was the contract. Cool, cool. Here is what is actually going to happen. You are going to go back and tell them that the wildlife is protected, the mining operation is moving to Sector 7 where there is nothing but rocks and regret, and if they have a problem with that, they can take it up with me. They will not listen to, they will, Marcus interrupted, because you are going to make them listen. And you are going to do that because you just saw me perform surgery on an angry bear, and you are smart enough to wonder what I could do to something with a much more complicated anatomy. We stared at each other. My 6 eyes versus his 2. My 9 feet versus his 6. My plasma rifle versus his absurd knife and even more absurd confidence. This is extortion, I said. This is conservation, he corrected. Extortion would be if I asked for money. I am just asking you to not destroy a habitat because some corporation wants cheaper minerals. Is that really so unreasonable? The terrifying thing was, when he put it like that, it was not unreasonable at all. So there I was, standing in the forest with a human who had just negotiated terms with me using nothing but audacity and a really confident smile, wondering how my life had gone so completely sideways. The mining corporation was not going to be happy. My reputation was not going to survive this. And yet, somehow, I found myself nodding. Fine, I said. But I need something from you. Marcus raised an eyebrow. Oh? What is that? Teach me. He blinked. Both eyes, simultaneously, which I had learned was a sign of surprise in humans. Teach you what, exactly? How you did that. How you survived. How you made that bear, Patches, trust you instead of eating you. How you. I gestured vaguely at him. How you are still alive when by all logical calculations you should be dead several times over. Marcus laughed, a sound that echoed through the trees and probably terrified several small mammals. You want to learn how to human? That is a terrible idea. But okay, sure, why not? This should be entertaining. That was 3 months ago. 3 months of the most educational, frustrating, painful, and occasionally hilarious experience of my long life. Marcus Webb, as it turned out, was not just some random human living in the woods. He was a wildlife rehabilitator who had decided that traditional methods were too boring and had gone, as he put it, aggressively feral. The first lesson happened the very next day. Marcus took me to his cabin, which was less a cabin and more a collection of materials that had somehow agreed to stay together despite physics suggesting otherwise. Inside, I counted 7 different species of what he called rescue animals. A fox with 3 legs. An owl with 1 eye. A raccoon that Marcus insisted was plotting his demise, but he loved her anyway. "This is Funeral," he said, pointing to the raccoon. "I found her in a garbage truck. She was not happy about being rescued." "You named a raccoon Funeral?" "She looked dead when I found her. Seemed appropriate. Plus, she has those little mask markings, very funeral-esque." Funeral chittered at me with what I recognized as pure malice. "She does not like you," Marcus observed. "The feeling is mutual." "Perfect. Your first lesson is feeding her without losing any fingers." I stared at him. "This is insane." "Yeah, welcome to humanity. We invented the concept." Feeding Funeral was exactly as difficult as it sounded. She waited until I was close, then lunged at my remaining good hand with her tiny rage-filled paws. I pulled back just in time. "Good reflexes," Marcus said, eating an apple and watching me struggle like this was prime entertainment. "But you are thinking about this wrong. You are approaching her like a threat. She already thinks you are a threat. You need to be something else." "What else is there?" "A friend. An annoyance. A curiosity. Anything but a predator." He tossed his apple core to Funeral, who caught it and immediately retreated to her corner, watching us both suspiciously. "See? She knows I am not going to hurt her. Well, she suspects I might, but she is 90% sure I will not, and that is good enough for Funeral. How do I make her 90% sure? Time. Patience. Persistence. Also, maybe some of these." He pulled out a bag of what looked like small treats. "She loves these things. They are basically raccoon crack. Offer her one, slowly, and do not make direct eye contact. Direct eye contact is a threat." I took a treat, extended my hand slowly, and looked slightly to the left of Funeral. She watched me, her small black eyes calculating odds and possibilities. For a long moment, nothing happened, then she moved forward, quick as lightning, snatched the treat, and retreated again. But this time, she did not hiss. "Progress," Marcus said proudly. "By next week, she will only hate you a normal amount instead of wanting you dead." The lessons continued. Marcus taught me how to move through the forest without disturbing it, how to read animal behavior, how to differentiate between genuine threat and defensive posturing. He showed me which plants were edible, which ones were medicinal, and which ones would make you wish you were dead for approximately 6 hours. Humans learned all this through trial and error, he explained one afternoon while we were tracking an injured deer. Which means a lot of humans died figuring out that those pretty red berries were absolutely fatal. But hey, now we know, and knowing is half the battle. The other half is not eating the murder berries. Your species learns through dying? Well, when you put it like that, it sounds bad. I prefer to think of it as aggressive data collection. We found the deer near a stream, its leg caught in old barbed wire from a fence that had been abandoned decades ago. It saw us and panicked, thrashing against the wire, making everything worse. "Your move," Marcus said. "What do you do?" I thought about what he had taught me. Do not approach as a predator. Move slowly. Show that I am not a threat. Good start. Now actually do it. I moved forward slowly, making what I hoped were calming sounds. The deer's eyes were wild with fear. Every instinct in my body told me this was prey, this was food, this was what I was designed to hunt. But I pushed those instincts down and kept moving, kept making those sounds, kept projecting calm instead of danger. It took 20 minutes, but eventually, I was close enough to reach the wire. The deer was still trembling but no longer fighting. I carefully cut the wire away, freeing its leg. It was injured but not badly. It would heal. The deer looked at me for a long moment, then bounded away into the forest, felt something strange then, something I had never felt after a hunt. Satisfaction, yes, but different. Better. I had helped instead of harmed, and somehow that felt more powerful than any kill I had ever made. Not bad, Marcus said. You are getting it. But the real test came 2 weeks later. Patterson called Marcus in a panic. Something was killing livestock at a nearby ranch. Something big, aggressive, and apparently unstoppable. The rancher wanted it dead. The mining corporation, still bitter about losing their original site, wanted it dead. Everyone wanted it dead, everyone except Marcus. Come on, he told me. Time to see if you have actually learned anything. We arrived at the ranch at sunset. The rancher, a woman named Victoria Hale, met us with a rifle and a scowl. About time. That thing took 2 more cows last night. I want it gone. Show us the kills, Marcus said. The kill sites were brutal. Clean kills, though, efficient. Whatever was doing this knew what it was doing. I examined the tracks, the claw marks, the feeding patterns. Mountain lion, I said. Big one. Male, probably. Hunting pattern suggests it is injured or old, cannot catch normal prey anymore. Marcus nodded approvingly. Look at you, being all competent and stuff. So, what is the play? This was it. This was the moment where I either proved I understood or proved I had wasted 3 months. We find it. We assess. If it is sick or suffering, we end it mercifully. If it is just desperate, we relocate it somewhere with better hunting. And if it attacks us? Then we defend ourselves. But we try not to kill it if we can avoid it. Victoria was not happy. I hired you to solve my problem, not cuddle with the wildlife. Your problem, Marcus said calmly, is that you built a ranch in mountain lion territory and are surprised when mountain lions show up. We will handle this, but we will handle it our way. We tracked the cat for 2 days. I used every skill Marcus had taught me, every lesson about patience and observation. Finally, we found it, a massive Tom with a scarred face and a limp in his back leg. He was old, past his prime, struggling to survive. When he saw us, he did not attack. He just watched, tired and wary. He is done fighting, Marcus said softly. Look at his eyes. He is not aggressive. He is just trying to survive the only way he knows how. What do? We give him an option. Marcus pulled out a large piece of meat from his pack, fresh and bloody. He tossed it toward the cat, who flinched but did not run. Easy there, old-timer. Nobody here wants to hurt you. We backed away slowly, giving the cat space. He approached the meat cautiously, sniffed it, then began to eat. While he was distracted, I noticed something, a deep infection in his injured leg, probably from a failed hunt weeks ago. He needs medical attention, I said. Yep. Which means we need to sedate him, treat him, and relocate him somewhere he can live out his days without terrorizing ranches. Marcus looked at me. You up for that? It took 6 hours. 6 hours of careful work, of treating infections, of setting broken bones that had healed wrong, of making sure this old predator got a second chance at life. When we finally released him in a protected wilderness area 100 miles away, with plenty of prey and no humans, I felt that same satisfaction again. You know what the funny thing is? Marcus said as we drove back. That cat has probably killed dozens of animals in his life. He is an apex predator, doing what apex predators do. But we just saved him anyway, not because it makes logical sense, but because we decided he deserved to live on his own terms. That is very human, I said. Yeah. Yeah, it is. We arrived back at the ranch to find Victoria waiting. Well, she demanded. Problem solved, Marcus said. The cat is relocated. You should not have any more issues. And if you do, build better fences instead of calling for executions. She glared at us but paid the fee anyway. As we walked away, I realized something important. I had come to Earth as a hunter, as a killer, as something designed to end life efficiently. But Marcus had taught me something more valuable. Strength was not about how effectively you could kill. It was about choosing not to, even when you could. It was about looking at something that could be your victim and deciding to make it your patient instead. So, Marcus said as we reached his truck, a vehicle that looked like it ran on hope and spite. What did you learn? That humans are terrifying because you turn compassion into a weapon. Damn right we do. Also, you are getting pretty good at this. Tell you what, how about you stick around? I could use a partner. Someone tall who can reach the high shelves and also scare off the occasional corporate stooge. I looked at him, this small, muddy, absolutely insane human who had somehow reprogrammed my entire understanding of strength and survival. You want me to stay? Well, yeah. Plus, funeral is starting to tolerate you. That is basically a marriage proposal in Raccoon culture. I laughed, a sound that surprised both of us. All right. I will stay. But I get to name the next rescue. Deal. Just please, nothing boring like Spot or Fluffy. 3 months on Earth, and I had gone from apex predator to wildlife rehabilitator. My former colleagues would have been horrified. My reputation was definitely ruined, had never been happier, because I had learned the most important lesson that humans have to teach. The real apex predator is not the one with the biggest teeth or the strongest weapons. It is the one who decides what lives and what dies, what matters and what does not, and then has the absolute audacity to choose mercy when killing would be easier. That is humanity. That is their superpower. They looked at a universe designed to kill them and said no thanks, we are going to pet the murder animals instead, and somehow, impossibly, insanely, it works. Oh, and Patches? She visits Marcus every few weeks now. Brings him fish sometimes. They have what Marcus calls an understanding, which apparently means the bear tolerates his existence in exchange for emergency medical care and the occasional snack. Still do not fully understand humans. But I am learning. One rescue at a time, one impossible choice at a time, one moment of choosing life over death at a time, and you know what? That bear really does have a white patch on her back leg. It is actually quite distinctive once you stop screaming long enough to notice.